All right, we're going to call this regular council meeting to order Monday, July 21st, 2025, 5 p.m. We ask you all turn your cell phones down or turn them off or silence them. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Edelman?
Here.
Commissioner Henderson?
Here.
Commissioner Morris?
Here.
Commissioner Prentice?
Here.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Here, pledge allegiance. Take your hats off, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing, please.
Heavenly Father, we just give you thanks and praise, Lord, for your blessing on this city, and we just would continue to ask that you will give the council as well as staff wisdom in all the decisions that they need to make to operate this city. And so we just thank you and praise you for that, and ask that you'll just be with us tonight in Jesus' name.
Amen. Okay, get an approval agenda, get a motion, please.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, before we get a public comment, I want to read this. This is, I don't think we're having any problems with this crowd, but sometimes we do, and I'm going to mention it. This is an official meeting sanctioned by the state of Illinois under the Roberts Rules of Order. We all welcome you here. Before attending, some of you I know are attending your first meetings, and public comment is the behavior of the participants. We have a few rules. One, you can only speak when called upon. If you call upon you, you raise your hand, I call on you. You get a warning if you're out of line or you disrupt the meeting. Second time, you'll be asked to leave. Public comments will be held to 3 minutes, and this is it's not a discussion item. It's just comments. You can stand up. You give 3 minutes of whatever you want to talk about, and that 3 minute rule has been in place over longer than I've been here. So we thank you, and if you want a public comment, stand up, raise your hand. I'll call on you. Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to
Your
know...
name?
Molly Ray. I would just like to know what... I understand you guys had to do what you had to do with the fire department in the first place. But now, going forward with how many days it's been, things like that, we're not following through with the contract. It kind of seems it's kind of getting scary for the community that we might not get help in the emergency. So I just want to know, is there something being done to staff our fire department? Can we break this contract because it's not working out? Is there any other options that we have for this?
Who says it's not working out?
The entire community pretty much feels that this is horrible. So, and I mean, I agree. You know, if my house goes up in flames and I wait a half hour, that's...
You don't wait a half hour.
But
There hasn't been any that big a delay, and there's no delay. We got Beloit. Beloit's got more equipment than we got, and they come here every day. And meantime, there is a fire. So until there's an issue, and until we have something, things will continue as is. Thank you.
You can talk about the fire study that's coming through.
Well, there's a fire study coming out. Yeah, we can tell you about that. That's we've been working on that, or what's it? This fire chiefs. Illinois Fire Chiefs Association study. They're going to present us with a study going from start to finish and report everything that's good or bad. And when that gets here, we're going to give it to the public. Everybody can read it. Okay. No, that's one's enough. Okay.
My name's Caitlin Geshow. I guess I just have a question. So my little one was at Clark when the fire department got called. Did we look any more into any of why it took so long even for Rockton to get there? I mean, I'm so grateful that nobody got hurt. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful. I just don't know why it took so long for somebody to be there.
They didn't. The ambulance got there right away, and it shows in minutes the ambulance was there. The fire department didn't come down because they were turned around. Once it's reported, once the first people on hand get there, like our ambulance did. Once they got there, they reported it as false alarm. That turns the fire truck around, go back and prepare for the next call. They're not going to they're not down there for showboating, they're there for a reason. When the reason wasn't, when there was no fire, there was no reason to go to Clark School. And that's the reason they didn't show up there. All right, so that's the reason that was brought up by superintendent of schools, and I addressed that to him and the school board, and we had all the times and everything, so it's not, I mean, people write a lot of things, but when you want to know the answer, all you have to do is call and ask. Thank you. Next, anybody else? If not, go ahead, raise your name.
Happy birthday, Shauna. What day was your birthday? Mine was the 16th. Anyway, I think I said this before. I hate speaking in I'm like, all right. We really need to do something with the amount of, I sound like an old woman cranky, but I'm not. Going down South Bluff, I live in the 300 block of South Bluff. The traffic, I guarantee you, Chief of Police, I guarantee you if you had an officer sitting there from 5 to 7, I know you can't, but I'm just saying you will see those certain cars that are just flying through there. It's crazy. I live literally like this. You can go into my driveway from Route or Goodhue, and I'm gonna get all emotional, but I just hope there isn't a day that one of those cars comes through my yard. One the guy had flipped a Bronco and took out a pine tree. This has been years ago, but you live over there too.
Yeah.
The
I've complained,
just
believe me.
I don't know what to do about it.
When Taylor Freezer lets out, it becomes a raceway, and we know it, and we've complained, and we've had officers sit up there. They can't sit there all the time, but they come up.
I'm not saying that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, is there any way we could, probably can't put a stop sign in there, I'm sure, probably anywhere, but this will be the last I bring it up, but this is a concern.
Yeah, I think that's not, I don't know if the stop sign's feasible, but.
No. Well, there's no stop sign on Center. There's a stop sign on Goodhue.
Maybe, I don't know.
But it's the same bunch, like you say. The same. I hear them. They use my street as a raceway, not my street. The street I live on is a raceway. And when you hear them, and when they do stop at the stop sign, take off. They're going 55 by the time they get to my house, and I'm in the middle of the block. So, yeah, it is really a concern. I agree with you.
About it, but I'll bring it up today.
You've got ticketed a few of them, but it's mostly Taylor Freezer people, and they let out the same time, and you can, set your watch by it. Yes, sir. Your name, please.
Do we have a code enforcement officer? If not, why not?
Yeah, we got a code enforcement officer.
We do?
Yeah, we got
What
two
do
of
we
them.
do?
What do they do? Well, if you're on Wednesday morning, if you come here, the first Wednesday of the month, you come here. We have we talk we all sit around that table and go through every code violation, and we have usually a page and 2 pages worth, and the ones get sent to court, and the other ones get remediated, and then they move on.
Drive by Stockbridge Court, that's supposed to be not farm, it's supposed to be no more than 6 inches high, looks like a jungle back there.
Well,
It probably hasn't been addressed since I was code enforcement.
I don't know
And
about
what's
that.
being done about,
Yeah, we'll take care of it. Sonia wrote it down on her list. We'll take care of it. No problem. Most of the time, and with code, and this, Shauna will verify this. Most of it, we can't just drive around and give people what they do is they usually go on, and you've been code enforcement officer, you know it, they go on complaints. And most of that is a person that has messy yard or long grass or house not kept, and cars parking on the yard, stuff like that. They come usually on, most of the time it's complaints, but not always.
how many citations have been issued for kids and adults riding motor scooters, golf carts, and whatever in subdivisions?
I don't know, that's another one.
I have to figure-
We'll look into that.
No
Chief
violation
will,
for that.
No, we're done. Okay, we're done. You asked your 3 minutes here. Chief, you can address that if you want, or look into it, or,
I don't know the number, I don't think it's very many, to be honest.
well, I know there's a problem with these bikes with motors on them. I know that's a problem, but, you know,
So just let it go, huh?
no,
Guys by his house all the time.
all right, moving on. Anybody else on public comment? No, you already had, but,
It's not a comment, I just have a question, about campers.
go ahead.
Is there a change to the campers in the driveway for South Beloit? Is it off-season, or is it okay to have one year-round?
No, not year-round, but,
So there is,
We can
like,
provide
during
a
the
copy
season,
of
it's
the
fine?
ordinance.
yeah. We'll give you a copy of the ordinance if you want it. How's that?
Well, I'm just wondering, does somebody like go around and
Yeah.
write violations
Yeah,
for this?
they do.
Oh, and our council, like, people like excluded
No,
from that?
no. No, nobody's excluded I know of. All right, approval of the minutes. Approval of the minutes of the special council meeting held on June 20th, 2025, and approval of the minutes held from the regular council meeting held on July 7th, 2025. Get a motion, please.
Second.
All in favor? All right, approved. Okay, Report of Officers, approval of claims to be paid July 4th through 18th, 2025 for the amount of.
$300,635.71. Motion.
Second.
Tracy?
Commissioner Edelman?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Prentice?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes, attorney report.
No report.
No report. Moving on, city reports, Sonia, it's all yours.
Sure. The first item I had on my list was I wanted to make sure that we provided the update on the Garden Hotel. I know that Roxanne, I did notify the council, but do you want to provide a brief update on the official word?
Yeah, so the Garden Hotel case was up in court last week, and the court entered an order on the sheriff's sale, which I believe the council is aware had been held the week prior. So the court did in fact close the sheriff's sale in the foreclosure case. We're just waiting for the issuance of the deed at this point. We expect to receive that this week. And the property is officially transferred into the hands of the city of South Beloit. On the litigation end with the demolition case, New Chapter Group did appeal to the Illinois Supreme Court. We filed fairly brief, responsive remarks, and we're just waiting to hear from the Illinois Supreme Court if they're going to take the case up. They take up very few cases each year, so I think that it's unlikely that they will accept this case for review, but there's always a possibility, and we won't know for a few more months. We continue to pursue the collection on New Chapter Group, and that case is up at the end of the month.
Okay,
And then I just have a couple things to add to that, Mayor. I wanted to give everyone a reminder that tonight we do have our sewer rate study public meeting. So that's going to happen at 6 o'clock tonight. So we'll make sure that our council meeting is finished at least 5 minutes prior, so that we can have that additional public meeting. We've got all the same materials that we presented at our rate study meeting, but we'll just make sure that we have that on hand to hand out as needed, as well as fairground staff will be here to help us present. Also wanted to mention on a positive note that our fishing event was splendid today. It was from 9 to 3. They kind of asked us to please promote this really at the last minute. It does better if it doesn't have too long. Don't give it weeks to promote. So we put a Facebook ad together and we put a handful of flyers out about a week prior. And we had 50 polls, I think, at all times. And there were a handful of times throughout the day where she didn't have any polls available. So she said that the event was just very well received. She appreciated the public that came down to participate. She said that the kids were wonderful, the adults were wonderful, everyone was grateful. The weather was perfect and the fish were biting. So I think that it's a repeat event. And so Sean will continue to try to work with them and get the IDNR here as much as possible to do events like that. Without the recreation or park staff, it's kind of tough, but with partnerships like this, it was a huge success. So we really appreciate
That
it.
mural too, mention the mural, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so 2 meetings ago, I think this board approved $25,000 donation from the Hotel Motel Fund. Tourism type events are eligible for that, so the mural was able to qualify for that. And it's pretty much finished. I think he's got some finishing touches, but if you haven't seen this building next door, it's absolutely breathtaking. So that's one of the two. The second will be started in about mid-August, and that will take place at the confluence. It's going to cover the south and the east side of their cedar shed. So the design kind of wraps around the building. It's beautiful. So keep your eyes out for that. I wanted to remind everyone that August 5th is the first Tuesday of the month. It's National Night Out, so if you need more information for that, signs should be getting put in random public properties from around town to remind people, but she's got all kinds of information ready for National Night Out. We'll do that at the American Legion from 5 to 7, first Tuesday of the month in August. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was just the fire study. So they kind of broke it into chunks. Their first chunk was to evaluate all the documents that there were to review. So all of the call times, all of the agreements, all of the addendums to the agreement, all the equipment, all the pieces that needed to be reviewed. And they've done that now. They've met with all of the fire chiefs in the region, including our own. I think that included Dan Pease and Chief Senator. Were you there for that? So just Pease and Jason Griffin, I think, also met with them on one day. So they have gone through the gamut of that first realm. He does have, phase 2 now, is buttoning up their report based on all of those interactions. I don't know if they're going to meet with other people from the community, but I gave them a long list of people who have been involved with our fire department for decades, and asked them if they needed to interview any of them to please let us know. At this point, it doesn't sound like they're going to. But they are buttoning up that report, and we didn't ask them to present at a public meeting, and typically they don't. You pay for a study, they complete the study, they email you the study, thank you so much, it's a public document now, you're more than welcome to share that, but they don't typically come and present, but they are willing to do that for us, just because it's been a really hot topic in our community. So I asked them if they'd be willing to present, and they're going to do their best to get to an August meeting, so stay tuned for that. And as soon as I know on a set day, I will let you guys know as quickly as possible so that you can prepare for that and spread the word if you wish.
And they're presenting when it's all done.
Yep. So as soon as we have that, they'll present it, and that becomes a public document.
We have nothing to do with the outcome. The outcome is whatever they decide in their, I would say, figure out in their review of the way it's being handled, and they'll write it down, and we'll all read it, and that'll be it.
Yeah, in the beginning, we did get a list of objectives, because we needed that in order to get bids, and so we do have a list of our top 8 objectives. What does it look like if the agreement ever fails? What does it look like if Town of Beloit can't staff us? What does it look like, are there any legal things that, didn't get addressed, or is this a rock solid plan for the rest of the country to use? To be honest, I think that stations everywhere over county lines and city lines are already doing this, and just the fact that trying to navigate it over a state line brings new challenges. So we asked them to review the legality of it. But yeah, we have that list of objectives that our legal team weighed in on, our fire chief weighed in on, and I think Commissioner Morris, you were heavily involved in reviewing that objective list as well. So we did give them, they had a list of, hey, here's 10 things we do. We picked 8 of them that applied to us. So we asked for the full gamut, the full review. And that's all I have for you, Mayor, and then I know that Don has prepared a brief financial quarterly report.
Okay.
All right, Don?
All right, you have handed out a packet. And the first schedule, I've added a column to the basically on the left-hand side to provide for the 1% sales tax that is a new source of revenue. And these are funds that are collected by the state and remitted to us. So this whole schedule are funds that are received by the state and then sent to us. You'll notice that we didn't receive any funds until April and through July. So we have received the July payment. So this schedule is ahead of almost any of the other accounting reports that we have. But you'll notice that through July, we received $502,000, which is roughly 50% of what we had budgeted. when you annualize that, we're looking at close to $1.5 million for a whole 12-month period. And so then when you add that with the MFT funds, we're looking at close to a $2 million road project every year. And so that's a major, major change for the community. And when this was approved and we really didn't know what kind of estimate we were likely to get. So we had anticipated $1 million for this year, and based upon these distributions, we could be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.2 million, $1.1 million to $1 million for the year, because of the fact that we didn't have anything for the first 4 months. So I added that to this schedule. This column is not included in the totals on the right-hand side because of the fact that these funds go into the 1% sales tax fund, which is a capital project fund specific for that purpose. The rest of the funds all go into the general fund. And so when you look at the right-hand total, those are all general fund receipts. Looking at the results so far year to date, you'll notice in the sales tax column that we're roughly $170,000 to the good compared to the same time period of a year ago. But then you look at the next column, which is the use tax, and it's roughly $90,000 less. And somewhere in the process, it appears that more of the use tax is going into sales tax. That used to be a separate distribution. We don't know the specifics as to why that's happening. That's just the allocation of the funds from the state of Illinois. But when you look at those two, we're still $80,000 to the good on that one.
Is that the state that handles that?
Yeah, all of these funds are collected by the state and then paid to us. Going over then, in corporate replacement tax, which is kind of the middle column, we're roughly $120,000 down year to date compared to a year ago. And those, again, the state decides how they want to distribute those funds. We had anticipated some of that, but when you look at budget-wise, we're at 62% of what we had budgeted versus 76% a year ago for the same time period. So the likelihood that source of revenue will be less for the year than what we had budgeted. Then when you go to the very right-hand column in the totals, you'll see that roughly in total of all the funds, or all the sources of revenue, that we're roughly $20,000 to the good at this point. And so that source of funding is a major part of our revenues for the general fund. The other pages that I've added here are reports that you normally get, and I've kind of rearranged and put the schedule that I want to talk about, which generally is the end page or somewhere in between. So the next page is a summary of our investments. You'll notice that going down toward the bottom, the net changes. You'll notice that the first 3 months of the year are negative cash flow months. Then the next 3 months are positive cash flow months. And typically the first quarter and the fourth quarter are negative cash flow quarters, and the two middle quarters are positive cash flows. And a lot of that has to do with the flow of the property tax, because it starts coming in May and then ends in September. So typically by the end of June we have about 50% of the property tax. And but then you go down to the cumulative January through June, you'll notice that through the 6 months we're $1,687,000 positive, meaning that our cash exceeded what we had expended, which is kind of the normal cycle. Because by the end of June, we have 50% reserve values of the property tax bill. And that's in the neighborhood of 800,000. So the other element associated with the investments is that interest rates now, anything that comes due that is renewed is about 20% less than it was a year ago. A year ago, we were getting 5 or a little over 5% when we put the investments out. Now it's 4 or slightly higher, but basically 20% less or 1% less. So that will have probably a greater impact on next year, assuming that rates will come down even more. That the impact, just because of the fact that we have CDs that mature pretty much every month. So over the course of a year, as they mature and we replace them 20% less return, that then has an impact this time next year. So the next year's interest income revenue is likely to be down, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20%. Any questions on that? Okay, the next schedule, I'm going to basically page 5 of 7 of the budget report, which I think is 2 pages in. Just to talk about the general fund in particular. As of through June, we're $1,470,000 to the good, compared to $1,019,000 to the good a year ago. So that's roughly a $350,000 swing for the good. And it's a combination of revenues being a little bit higher, but expenses being roughly $300,000 less. And a good part of the reason that expenses are less is a time issue on the cannabis rebate. Prior to the start of this year, where we now have 2 cannabis locations, before we only had 1, so we were making the rebate payment when we got the funds. Now, because of the fact that we have 2, one of which does not have a rebate agreement, so we have to wait until we get the identification of how much came from the one that we have the rebate agreement, and that's typically 2 months after we get it. So in this year we're running a couple months behind what we normally would be, and that's somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 to $180,000. So that's a major part of that expenditure decrease. Other than that, I think that's pretty much the details that I wanted to hit the high spots rather than getting into the details. Any questions?
Thank you.
Good. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else want to say anything? You can say something if you want. No, we're done with the question and answer period. Afterwards, if you got a question, come on up, we'll talk. Unfinished business, discuss and/or motion items. Discuss approve ordinance 2848, amending chapter 18, business added by article 12, residential rental property regulation. Get a motion, please. Somebody? Second?
Second.
Okay, we brought this through. This is where we were asking for registry of all rental properties by their owner.
Mayor, I did make some changes to the ordinance. Would you like me to go over those?
Sure, go ahead.
So as a result of the comments that were made by the Realtors Association at the last meeting. We did make some adjustments to the ordinance in light of those comments made. First is to local agent. As council may recall, previously the local agent was listed as 21 years of age or older. In an effort to address, again, comments made by a community partner, we've amended that to 18 years of age or older. Also, I think at the last meeting, there was a concern raised regarding just how the administrative adjudication process would work in the event that there was a violation. Again, the only violation would be a failed opportunity to register. And we did amend section 18-438 penalty to just make it more clear that the city would be then adjudicating that violation through its already established administrative adjudication process, which is in section 34-134 of the current ordinances. I did also take some time to work through with staff the sample that was provided to the city by the Realtors Association from the municipality of Woodstock. And one thing that I would suggest to council as we kind of work through this process is, the sample that was provided from Woodstock is extraordinarily robust. It's 20-some pages long, or don't quote me on that, but it's fairly lengthy, and it requires a pretty robust administrative process in the event that a property owner that has rental property has a certain number of violations within a certain period of time. And the difference with that process as opposed to this process that we've laid out with this ordinance is this is a simple registry for purposes of tracking information. That process that's outlined in Woodstock, I think would be difficult for the city, and again, this is just my perspective, but it would be difficult for you to manage with the staff that you have. We have to contract out code enforcement. We're basically responding to violations after they've occurred, as opposed to then kicking in a registry process to administer registry after multiple violations have occurred. I think in order to have a system set up like they have in Woodstock, you would need to have a team of people like Woodstock has to be able to administer that type of a process. And you just simply don't employ that many people in order to be able to administer something like this. So what we have before you, again, it's a very simple registry. It is only to get ownership information and rental information. We've taken out everything as it related to the previous ordinances that were referenced as a concern as it related to crime-free housing. And it is a free registration so long as that occurs within a certain period of time. There's no requirement to turn over any leases or anything like that. Again, we're just simply trying to track landlord-tenant information where we can. So with those amendments, the staff has placed this ordinance up for passage.
Did we have anything about that, 18-432, where for registration must be required if you have a multifamily? I don't remember that in the other ordinance, but that's...
This is not new.
This is not new.
It is not new. No, this was in all of the previous versions.
Okay. No,
Yep.
Was that in our, before we even started it, did
No,
we have it?
this would be new.
That's what
This
I
would
meant.
be new.
This is
Yes,
new.
this is new.
So in other words, if somebody's got a if they're renting to more than one person, then they have to register it.
If they are renting anything and that's residential in the city of South
That's
Beloit,
all,
they would need
that's
to
one
register, yes.
one of our sticking points was where we had people that were renting a building and then they'd have, 10 people living in there.
Well, again, the biggest issue that we find occurring in South Beloit is single-family homes being cut up into multi-family units without proper permits, without any, process that has been followed whatsoever, and in many cases in violation of the zoning ordinance. So,
Yeah. Courtney, what do you think of it?
I'm still not in favor of it. It's being cleaned up. I obviously don't understand the administrative things behind the Woodstock policy. I reviewed the Woodstock policy, or whatever you want to call it, program, as Ryan suggested at the last meeting. I think that is a much better program in the sense of goes after the people. The whole reason you wanted this program, Mayor, is you want to go after the people that are problems. And the Woodstock program goes after the people that are problems. I don't understand, like I said, the administrative side of that. I don't understand what that entails, but at least that program goes after the problem players. If you're a landlord and you don't have problem properties and you don't have whatever, Woodstock doesn't seem to know that you exist, according to their policy. So.
If I could respond to just a couple of those things, Mayor. So first of all, I don't think that the real purpose of the proposed ordinance here for South Beloit is just to track problem properties. It's to know from a ground level what is rented property and what is not rented property. So that I think would be issue number one, is just to get a baseline of what properties in South Beloit are being rented and which are not. The second issue with regard to the Woodstock ordinance is if you look at under the table of contents of the ordinance, it outlines in section 413-4 or 413.4 when registry is required, and it outlines that registration is required after 2 findings of a violation in 6 months, or after owning a dwelling unit unfit for human occupancy. Affiliated business entities must also register. There is just paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of requirements that are, again, they're extraordinarily cumbersome for a property owner to manage, but I think even more so with a staff of really one person, right? And so what we're now requiring is that your community development department, which is one person, is required to track all potential rental properties in South Beloit that we don't know whether they are rental or not, to track whether or not they had 2 findings of violations within 6 months, whether or not there are properties in South Beloit that are unfit for human occupancy. We're not always looped in when the Winnebago County Health Department comes out and revokes occupancy. So again, a lot of these steps require additional information that the City of South Beloit staff just may not necessarily have. Again, if the council prefers this ordinance, we can put it in place, but it does seem from a staff perspective to be a lot more cumbersome than what's currently before you.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, Tom, is the initial intent of this, Courtney kind of mentioned, is it to keep an eye on problem properties, or is it to gather information on all rental property owners? What was your initial intent?
If you want, Mayor, we can have Shauna answer some of that too, because I think she was the one who originally brought it up to you at a staff meeting. So if you'd like her to comment before or after your comment.
Go ahead, I don't care, you go.
So when we originally started talking about this, it was communication-based. Everything was communication-based because, as Roxanne said, we have several properties in the area that we don't know if they're rentals or if they are owner-occupied. So that in itself would make it easier, having communication. If there is a problem, instead of sending notices right away or whatever, picking up the phone and saying, hey, this is what we've got going on. Not necessarily for problems, but also if there's an issue, I'm thinking of an emergency issue or something like that, we know who to get a hold of. If they're, we have owners in the area that vacation or that go out of the area for the winter. Having an emergency contact for those times, should there be an emergency, those were all things that we discussed.
And to build upon what Shauna just said, we did spend some significant time also working with other community stakeholders, not just the Rockford Area Association of Realtors, but we met with Paul Arena, who was the president of the Rockford Apartment Owners Association. And the number one thing we heard coming out of that meeting is that their association members, again, they don't really have many here in South Beloit, but they want that level of information. They want the city contacting them first and saying, hey, this happened, or did you know that there was a fire there, or did you know that this happened or that happened? They wanted that open line of communication. Again, if we don't know that these rental properties are indeed rental properties until after something has happened, it makes it pretty difficult for community development to be able to have those types of back and forth.
And it doesn't cost any money. Not for the landlord. It doesn't cost them nothing. All it is information for our staff. And the more information, the better. And it's just one of these pretty simple, I think. I don't know. Bob?
Tom, you talked earlier about the meeting that happens on Wednesdays, I know. Are we having problems getting a hold of those landowners?
Well, we have, sometimes we go for months, you can't, nobody ever answers us, and I mean, not me, but, Shauna and that bunch, I mean, they don't, I mean, well, you carry it over and say, have you contacted them? Well, we sent letters out, but nobody responds. This way you have somebody, if you're the landlord and you own it and you go to Florida for 8 months, fine. You're gonna have somebody here to answer. There's gonna be a
So let me
contact
just ask
person.
one more question, probably, maybe one more question. I'm not limiting myself to one more, but I'm gonna ask another question. So when we send out a letter to somebody about their violations, right? Are we sending that directly to the home? So in this case,
State
we're talking.
statute dictates where they need to go. So
Okay.
they have to be sent to the property owner of record.
Okay.
We have access here at South Beloit City Hall to a program called Laredo, which provides us copies of every deed. That is where legally those notices have to be sent. We have in the past also sent notices to occupant, whomever, occupant might, just so that there's something going to the house. Right, or to the apartment. But again, legally, the only notice that counts in terms of our administrative hearing process is the notice that is sent to the property owner of record, and we have to go off of the deed for that.
And those generally aren't always up to date, is kind of what we're.
Well, they may be, they may not be. I mean, a lot of times what we found in South Beloit is we have transactions that are occurring where they're not closing at a title company. People are just transferring property person to person. They're not then recording the deeds. So we'll have people here in administrative hearings that are saying, oh, that's not my property. I sold it 5 years ago. Well, no one recorded the deed. So that's issue number one. The other problem that we have too is there does seem to be in South Beloit an inordinate amount of property that is owned by out-of-state landowners. And not even just saying Wisconsin, but just landowners that are, across the country. And so, as Shauna mentioned, we are sending notices to the property owner of record that is listed on the last deed of record, because that's what we're required to do.
And also to build on that, we have one property owner that owns 6 parcels, 6 units, 6 different houses. On his deed, it says to send to one of the other rental units. At the time, that must have been where he lived. However, he's since moved. I have to send to, or the code enforcement has to send to that address. It now is covered by another tenant. If that tenant does not tell him that it's going there, he has no idea. And he has let us know that that he owns these 6 parcels, but in the interim, there was a lot of miscommunication because we didn't have that information.
Also, when that happens, a lot of that stuff happens, the people that are living there, the rentals that are living there, they just throw it away. All of a sudden the bill gets, because of penalties and that, and then they come to us, say, hey, how can we owe $10,000? We don't know nothing about this. This is just a way of making sure that the owner gets the information, and if he gets fines, that's the point. I mean, the point is make sure you clean it up. That's all we want them to do is clean it up or fix it or whatever you're doing.
Is one more.
Okay.
No, all right, one more. The people. So generally, the Wednesday meeting with code enforcement, is it mostly repeat offenders? Or
We have a considerable amount of.
repeat, right? The one-offs are kind of few and far between.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
That's true. That is true. Usually there's, I'd say, a dozen or 10 people that you see through here, and I don't deal with them. I just deal with them on Wednesday mornings when I look through the list there, and I keep my list every week, every month. I just put on top of the other, and when I look it back, I see the same people, and I go, well, what's going on here? And it's time that the staff is putting in just to try to rectify it, so.
So under the Woodstock policy, we would have a dozen people that were probably going to be on this list.
That we know of, and I can add one more thing to I know we're beating this one to death, but another thing that happens a lot is we get complaints from people who live in a multi-unit structure that we didn't know was a multi-unit structure, and it creates a lot of headaches to try to remediate those and work with the county to get those taken care of. But also, our ordinance calls for an apartment building that has more than one unit in it to pay certain portions of their, you pay a trash and recycling bill, you pay an admin fee every month. We're not charging appropriately if you have 6 units in a home and we're only charging you one time. So it's just another thing where, here we are on the brink of a rate increase for our sewer, and this is kind of another one of those touchy items is, you have some units out there that are not being properly built, and so we continue to try to find them and get them corrected.
And Commissioner Prentice, to your point about having about a dozen names on we'll call it the Woodstock list, or properties rather, I don't believe that to be the case. I think just based on the number of cases that I see in administrative hearing, there would be far more than that. And again, I don't want to belabor the point too much because I know you have a lot on your agenda and you only have 15 minutes until your next public meeting on sewer. So I don't know if you want to call a roll call for this.
Yeah. Tracy, please.
Mr. Edelman?
I gotta go first. No.
Commissioner Heatherington?
No.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Prentice?
No.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes. Does not. 2 yeas and 3 nays. Okay, we're done with that one. All right, discuss approve our ordinance 2852, amending chapter 10, animals, article 2, dogs and cats. This is, first get a motion.
So moved. Second.
All right, this here deal is all about was to eliminate cats on a leash. That's all it is. That's all that's on
Same
there.
thing we've been talking about every meeting.
Yep, cats on a leash, and the whole deal was we had an outfit in Rockford that could, if they had the personnel right now, come down to South Beloit, capture these cats that are wild, and neuter and spade them, and then they would not produce.
And nothing in this has changed from what we discussed last week.
Nothing. No, it's just, all we did is move it down the road because we want to get everybody here. Now, go ahead.
Mayor, if I could just throw in one point. So the practical implication of this ordinance is that there is no, if it passes, there is no more cats, at large in the community being a violation. So if someone has 15 cats in their yard and they want to call the Winnebago County Health Department, the Winnebago County Animal Control, there would not be a violation for that because there isn't a requirement that cats be kept essentially with their owners. So that previously there was a nuisance section for cats kind of running at large. That term cat would no longer appear in that ordinance, so there wouldn't be a nuisance anymore for cats. Does everybody understand that? Okay.
Anybody else? Tracy, please.
Commissioner Heatherington? Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Prentice?
Yes.
Commissioner Edelman?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes, that carries 4-1. All right, new business. Request community corn roast from the South Beloit Lions Club, August 23rd, 2025, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Dairy Ripple. Get a motion, please.
Motion. Second.
Do we want anybody to talk about that? Please stand up.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you,
Hi.
everybody? So
I think we've seen
have-
you here before.
Yeah, we have the little note of our land. And what we would like to do is just have a small area right next to us. We're gonna do a 10 by 20 tent that's 3-sided. Getting the corn boiler from the roaster from the VFW in Roscoe. We'll have all of our Winnebago County permits. We're just gonna have that section there, no parking. That is where people are going to come in and eat. We're thinking of having the South Beloit jazz band come down and play. We're also going to have a little community booth where they can sell.
You gonna have a car thing there at the same time?
No.
Just one. I didn't see it anyway. Anybody else want to talk about it?
Is that when this was coming? And
I don't know. Good deal. Tracy, please.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Prentice?
yes.
Commissioner Edelman?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes. Approved. All set. Thank you. Approve request for a block party from the Church of Christ, August 16, 2025, from noon to 4 p.m., 241 South Hackett Street. Motion, please.
Second.
And this, yes, sir. Stand up, Pastor, please.
This is becoming an annual thing, right?
Yeah.
It has, actually, this will be the third year of
Yeah.
it, and,
I'm gonna get there
everybody
this year.
really enjoys it. Now, we've asked the fire department to come through, each time, but they've never made it. The police department has done an outstanding job. The children had a magnificent time last year, talking with the police officers and so forth. And so, but it's the same as always. I took the school using their parking lot off of the agenda because I talked with the superintendent one-on-one. I always just give him a call. We have a good relationship with the school there, as a matter of fact. And so it's just the same thing as we've always done every year.
Sure.
I know that if you're willing to feed them, I'm pretty sure they'll swing.
We'll let them know, and there's a good chance we'll show up.
It would be great.
We would love to. Sometimes calls get in the way. We
Right.
limited personnel, but we will do everything we can to attend any community event.
That we do understand. We know you have responsibility.
Sounds like a great time. We'll be there. Tracy, please.
Commissioner Prentice?
Yes.
Commissioner Edelman?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes, all set. All right, discuss approved motion to reconsider ordinance 2836, amended chapter 62, offenses and miscellaneous provisions, article 3, offenses against public peace and safety, prohibiting the possession, transfer, sale of unregulated food, beverage products infused with cannabis or containing an amount of THC, acetic, ester, THCO, whatever that is. Yeah, I know, that
Mayor,
kind of
just a
skipped
point
over.
of clarification, this motion will have to be made by someone on the prevailing side from the last meeting.
Yep, so I understand that this needs to be a motion made by myself. I
Yes.
am more than okay to reconsider and reopen this motion that, since I was the sole no vote last time.
All right, you got a motion to open, need a second. Okay. And this is just, we brought this up because there was people missing last time, and I know Kenny would wanted to be here for this because he very feels strongly about it, and I think a lot of people do. And this is just about the THC that's in these products that's sold at gas stations near children. You know.
Better known as Delta 8 and Delta 9.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to clarify real quick. So item C was to open. Now we need to move to item D where we discuss or approve. Is that
First,
correct?
we need a vote on just the motion to reconsider. Then once it's reconsidered, that essentially puts the
Then
item
we can
back on
talk
the
it
table.
again.
Then we can talk about it.
All right.
Yes.
Motion.
Commissioner Edelman?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington? No. Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Prentice?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes. Okay. Now we get a motion to reconsider, or a motion to
Discuss or approve.
discuss or approve. Get a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Anybody want to discuss
Yeah, so I'll
anymore?
jump in. So, the reason I voted no last time is, when this first came up, we asked our police chief if we've been having any issues, and, there was no issues that he has been aware of, and we're not getting reports from the schools. So, I was asked before kind of, why I thought what I did, and as a sole no vote, I just want to get that set on the record. My vote for no was because I don't feel like, we're having an issue with this yet. I'm not saying that it may not happen, I'm not saying that. I feel like we're jumping the gun on this, so that was why I decided to vote no.
I know the state of Illinois hasn't made it illegal yet, but there's other places that have, and we're just bringing it forward. Chief, can I ask you, Chief, what do you feel about this?
I understand the pros and the cons. Honestly, it kind of sits somewhere in the middle. We haven't it's not regulated whatsoever, whereas our local dispensaries have pretty regulation.
Can a 12-year-old go in and buy it?
Yes. Well,
That's what I'm wondering. Can a 12-year-old go into this gas station down
it's
here?
not regulated, so
Yeah, they can then.
I don't have the answer. I don't know what our local establishments, if they have their own threshold, but we've not been called for any type of calls for people.
Well, because it's legal. That's probably why you haven't any calls. It's legal, and there's, I don't know, this is being a little more proactive than reactive, I believe. And if it's a situation where state of Illinois later on changes it, which we're already done with it. I mean, if it passes.
Mayor, I can add, I think the reason that this came up about 6 months ago now, I do think it's probably been every bit of 5 to 6 months that this topic came up. The first one was that our dispensaries, one of them came forward and felt very strongly that these should be banned. So that was one item that sort of started the conversation, is that our dispensaries have to go through a lot of hoops to get federal regulation for certain products, and they didn't appreciate it that other places could sell them. So that was one thing that came up. And then another reason it advanced is that we do have several locations within touching proximity or very near proximity to schools. And so because it was an unrelated drug, it became kind of a sensitive matter. But we did task Laura on our legal team, who came and presented it about 2 months ago on the matter, to kind of give you all her findings. But that's where the research assignment sort of came from, and why we started scratching that.
So now we're to the point of either yes or no. If we vote yes, then it's banned. If we vote no, it's not banned,
Is
right?
it, well, yeah, it's banned entirely.
Correct.
Okay.
Banned for sale. All right, as long as everybody knows what they're voting on. Okay, Tracy, please.
Commissioner Heatherington?
No.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Prentice?
No.
Commissioner Edelman?
Yes.
Mayor Fisher?
Yes. Discuss approve ordinance 20, it passes 3-2. Discuss ordinance 2836, amended in chapter 62, offenses and miscellaneous provisions, article 3, offenses against public peace and safety, prohibiting the possession, transfer, and sale of unregulated food or beverage products infused with cannabis. We just did that, sorry. I thought I read that once. All right. Moving to E, discuss approve ordinance 2857, amended chapter 66, Parks and Recreation, Article 1 in general. Motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Who's got this? Go ahead.
Sure, I can absolutely cover this. So this is just a couple of tweaks to your park ordinances, just to clarify some things that we already have in terms of what's permitted and not permitted in the park. This first ordinance just makes clear that it is an ordinance violation to swim or wade in Lake Victoria. Again, Lake Victoria is not a body of water that is approved for swimming. So this is just making clear that that would be a violation. Also, this amends section 66-3 that allows for permits to be obtained from the Office of the City Clerk for city-approved special events that are within the park for alcoholic beverages.
Anybody else? Tracy?
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Prentice?
Yes.
Commissioner Edelman?
Yes.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes.
Mayor Fisher?
Yes, discuss approve ordinance 2858, amended chapter 66, Park and Recreation, Article 4, regulating the operation of boats. Motion, please.
Second.
I can cover
Well,
this
go
here
ahead,
if you'd like me to. So 2858, again, just some language changes to your park ordinances. Right now, the way that the ordinance and the language reads is that boats of any kind are not permitted on Lake Victoria, unless, of course, they qualify for a permit that's issued by the city clerk. We are proposing to define the term watercraft and to amend that ordinance to read watercraft instead of boat, because there are multiple other types of craft that could be utilized on Lake Victoria that doesn't necessarily qualify as a quote-unquote boat. So again, just cleaning up the language so that it's clear, again, that we have that prohibition against swimming and that the permits are applied to the use of watercraft in the city of South Beloit and at Lake Victoria.
It's not changing anything
No, it's
in
just
terms of
changing
the way it's
term.
used now, it's just changing the word boat to watercraft.
That's correct, yes. And then clarifying again that swimming is prohibited.
So can, electric motors are prohibited then? Okay, now
No.
wait, no, right here it says,
I did see that too, and then you gotta read a little.
I read it,
That's just for the trolling.
but it says here,
Trolling motors not exceeding 55 pounds of thrust are allowed.
But other electric motors are not.
Right. Gas-powered and high-powered electric motors are not allowed on Lake Victoria due to the size.
electric power motors are not the same as electric trolling motors.
That's correct. And so it says watercraft using electric trolling motors not exceeding 55 pounds of thrust are allowed on Lake Victoria. That part of the ordinance is not changing.
I think where he's getting caught up is it just says.
It says electric motors,
Yeah.
electric powered motors, and then it goes on, or engines. But then down below it says watercraft using electric trolling motors. That's a motor, that's electric. It's, I mean,
It hasn't been an issue.
It's reading as if it's over 55 thrusts of pounds of thrust. you can't do it.
Again, it hasn't been
who
an
knows
issue.
55 pounds of trust?
People with codes.
Yeah. Well,
Adam can figure it out, but he's not doing it. I don't know.
all right, whatever. All right. I'll get a motion. Read it. Okay, let's go.
Commissioner Prentice?
Yes.
Commissioner Edelman?
Yes.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes. Discuss approve hiring Ezekiel Kaiser as full-time police officer at a rate of $27.47 an hour. Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Anybody got, Chief?
We have two vacancies in the police department. Ezekiel will fill one of them. He's a local resident in Winnebago County. Currently works as a security guard and would be a good asset for our department.
All right with you, he's all right with us. Tracy, please.
Commissioner Edelman?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, get a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
You got me on that. You got me on that.
No, give him one, I'll take two.
All in favor? Meeting's adjourned.